Hello and welcome to my beginner's guide for Azrael. For the most part of this guide I'll be covering over very basic things that the character does and what he's good at, what he's bad at. Besides that, I'll be using anime notation as well as frame data to explain along what I'm saying, and if you don't know what either of those are, there will be links to the BlazBlue general Discord, which has a resource tab for explaining a lot on how to improve or how to learn how to basically play BlazBlue, as well as the link to the Azrael Discord, which covers more character-specific combo paths, so on and so forth, since this guide will not be showing that many combos, if many at all. So, to get started, Azrael is a rushdown style character that leaves him in many situations of having to force a 50-50 between like 2D and 5D. He has similar styles to Slayer from Guilty Gear, if you're aware of Guilty Gear and play that. And besides that, he kind of is just a very dangerous close-range character who has some decent pokes. And I'll cover the normal super quick. 5A is like 6 frames and -1 on block, but it can also go into 2A, go into 5B, does not go into that, it goes into 2B. Let's leave him on block for a while. So you can, it's really just a nice button overall. 5B is probably one of our best buttons since it's special cancelable. It has such a huge like hitbox, whichever one it hits people a lot. You can jump cancel both of these, mind you, so just by holding up. And it also has a lot of combo potential. 5BB is your follow-up, and it's +5 on block, so it is very nice for BlazBlue standards. The only issue with this button, and I'll go over issues more towards the end, whatever, talking about character weaknesses and whatnot. So 5C is our best poke. It has the hitbox on the jacket does not exist, or the hurtbox does not exist. It only covers leg, meaning that certain characters with a more vertical dragon punch or whatnot reversal options, you can stand outside the range and actually just meaty them, which is incredibly nice. Besides that, you can frame trap on block with this and Gustav, since the hitstun is good with that, as well as potentially set with an unblockable between 5C and a Blackhawk Stinger. But that is more of unblockable without covering more when I talk about Blackhawk Stinger. 2A is a strong normal, is very quick. It can link it back into 5A like previously stated. It can link into 2D, so just connecting with the low can net you a mark. It can go to 2B, so you can set with frame traps such as this. And it's just really nice. You can also force situations where they may not be blocking high, so they have to block a low and a high. They can, I believe, mash out of this for the fastest button, as well as just use a reversal. But yeah, for the most part, this is a low, it's very strong, and you can cause very weird situations with it. Now 2B is like a decent poke with air quotes on it. Like, it is probably our worst button. It doesn't have the luxury on 5C where it doesn't reach as far, nor does it have the disjointed hit hurt box from the jacket, so you're just extending your hurt box, so in situations, like in some situations, you can actually just move yourself forward and get hit, whereas if you were to use 5C, it wouldn't. The only upsides to it is that it can go in from 2A, as I mentioned earlier. This can frame trap, as well as, that's about it. 5C is generally your better poke. 2B is really like a very situational button, mostly for a combo piece. Now 2C is kind of this weird like launcher, pseudo projectile. What I mean by pseudo projectile is that if anybody throws a projectile at you, you can contest them with 2B. Now it doesn't work on all of them. It's a pseudo projectile. It's very odd, and that gets into weird interactions of BlazBlue. But for now, I'm just leaving it as you can launch, and it doesn't go into anything besides the 3 and 6D series. Now 2D actually yeah, it does some of that. But yeah, it can go to 3C. And speaking of 3C, it is a like it is a low, and it's also a decent poke. Where if they're expecting a 5-0 or if they're blocking high, this is a low, so they have to. As you can see, the Azrael is blocking low at there. It's -9 if it hits on the first active frame, so it is hella minus, but it leads into some of our highest damage, as well as being able to follow up with a 2-2C Sentinel, which that'll be covered later. So going into the 6 series, we have 6A, which has high body invulnerability, meaning that you can have characters like where you can whiff, like where characters will whiff their like spear or their whatever they're using through you and hit them, which is pretty nice since you can combo from it. So it is really nice. Same idea with 6B being our better anti-air, whereas 5B is better used as an anti-air for like instant air dashes and whatnot. 6B is basically everything else, example being something like my spear dives. We can just 6B them for free. As well as like 2C at certain ranges is a good anti-air. But for the most part, you're kind of, if they're closer to the ground, or if they're closer to you, 5B is probably better. Certain situations, 6D is like overall like the best anti-air, and then sometimes you can use 2C. Then just quickly, oh yeah, my bad, and 6C. 6C is +2 on block. So it's very nice. The only downside is like it's 22 frames or whatever, and is very easy to start up. Like it's 20 plus frames, I'm not sure the exact number right now. It is very easy to react to and just hit like a 5A depending on the character. And then do note also that our fatal counters are going to be 5C, 6C, no, not 3C, okay, yeah, so it's just 5C, 6C, and then fully charged 2360 and 214D, Hornet or Valiant, will cause the air, or going to be our only fatal counters. And I'll cover those more in a second. So just going over quickly with his aerial normals. Jump A is pretty nice since you can off instant air dash get like 3 of them. Then they just cause like more hits done, more pressure. Jump B is probably our best aerial normal since it has such a nice hitbox in general, as well as just to cross up. Jump C is kind of like a launcher of sorts, where if your opponent's above you, it's a nice air-to-air. Same idea with all these other ones, but if they're above you, you can air-to-air them, and if it counter hits, in certain matchups, you can just counter hit like Izanami's half circle B in the air. You can contest that with like a jump C, and it'll cause counter hit, and then you can combo off that. And it is just really nice. And for the most part, it's just be a combo piece though. And then you have jump 2C, which is going to be your dive kick. It's alright. It's not the best dive kick ever, but like, it's pretty nice. You can do specials off of it, so you can catch certain, depending, it's kind of like how high you hit it. You can catch people with a Gustav and whatnot. And I'll very quickly go over his drives. Drive and drive mechanic, which Azrael's drive is referred to as the terror, and it leaves these high and low hit points on the opponent. And all these do is they change the properties of all your drive moves outside of Scud punishment. And what these mean is that in a situation like this where I have the high hitbox, I can now combo this, whereas before I cannot combo that. So that will leave you in a good position, and it will cause more mind games, which is what Azrael excels at, being that if they don't block this, they have to hold all this damage. And then if you can go into a Hornet, and if they're not blocking low, then they just got hurt extra damage for not blocking properly, and it causes just more mind games. That is not a very good thing because Hornet is very minus. Same thing with Valiant, but that'll be covered more in a minute. So just to cover real quick, 5D is your overhead. It is pretty fast startup. It is net play unblockable. though, however, it doesn't have any like real true combos with it. Most of them are gonna be fake, and you can DP through it. 2D is the same way, except 2D is plus on block, meaning that it can, in most situations, lead to this being real. Now, however, you can still DP through it because it's not a full chain. A lot of what you'll find with Azrael, just to do a quick what he's bad at, is that you can DP through 5B. You can DP after the first 5B. If they're going to do another 5B, you can DP. If they do anything like, if you do 2A 5D, 2A 2D, you could just DP. Or reversal. Anything with a frame 1 or around frame 1 reversal, Azrael just gets hit out of, and we just have to hold that. But going back on topic with the D series, we have 6D and 3D, which have very similar animations. The big difference is that 6C kind of puts you, like, they both do the step forward, but 6C puts his leg way up in the air and then it goes over your head, arrows in the overhead. Whereas 3C kind of has that step, he brings his like kind of up towards his chest, and then he just goes to step on your tootsies. They are comboable after a hit marker, and for the most part, they're pretty useful from there on. He has jump drive and jump 2D, which is pretty nice since it leaves you with a means to connect with other hit markers from the air, so meaning that you can do aerial combos that you can end with and get a mark from it. Generally speaking, whenever you're in air, 2D is better if you can reach it. 2D is better just because it gives you better Oki and it leaves you close to your opponent, whereas 5D gives you more corner parry. But you kind of are left where you have to forward dash or whatnot to continue. So it just puts you further away. Overdrive is, to do a quick recovery on the overdrive. Currently, whenever you block any of these will not leave a mark. With his overdrive, you will now leave a mark, and he leaves all of his stride moves special cancelable. An example of this effect is that you can do something like that. And that's where you have a lot of strong suits with his overdrive. It's not like the most flashy, it's not the best overdrive in the game, but it is pretty dang good. Now his special moves, he has a 236A, which is going to be Gustav, similar to like Balrog's dash punch or many other characters from other fighting games having a dash punch of sorts. Pretty fast, reactable, since he doesn't have any other moves similar to it. So it is +1 on block, which is pretty nice. I mean, on a normal block, you can get this for free and they have to hold that. And besides that, if they do any form of regular, like instant barrier, or instant block, you are now plus or minus, depending on the respective form of block. And it will leave you just instant block, you're just going to be stuck at minus, meaning that they can press 5A before you can press 5A in most cases. This comes down to character specifics. Barrier puts you outside the range, meaning that they can whiff punish, and same idea for instant barrier, except it's both. So be wary on which way they block, and you'll be fine after that. Growler is 5-frame startup, which is really nice. It's used to absorb projectiles, which gives you fireball stocks. It also grants you a iframes on absorption, meaning that if you were to absorb that, and whatever. But yeah, if you absorb it, characters can mix up off of the projectiles. You can growler them and then prevent the mix-up from happening, and then you're taking your turn off the just growling, so you're ending up pretty plus. Growler makes a lot of matchups that would be really hard, such as like Lambda, Mew, and Mew, all very all more doable, just because of the fact that their projectile game is now growlerable, and it gives us 2-1, like by doing 2-3-6B, we now get a really fast fireball that allows us to just approach freely, and kind of just gets us in faster. You can also be used just to contest all that stuff. There's also, you can use it as cross-up growler, and it's a really nice tool. But I'll go more into that once we cover movement. 236C or Tiger, the Tiger Cobra Leopard series, or 2366, like 236C, 6C, 6C, is kind of just our bread and butters when it comes to combos, because it has incredible, well, first off, in corner, it can lead you into crush, like it wall splats, and it will lead you into combos. Whereas outside of corner, you can do Tiger Cobra Leopard, and it puts you full screen, mind you. But off of just 2, you can move from one corner to the other. So that's pretty nice. The only downside is that you're giving up Okazumi by doing that, but for the most part, it's kind of a nice means of judging where you are on the screen. You can put yourself in a situation where the way you travel with the move will leave you right in a situation where you can connect off of it. Going forward, we have sit and full dump, which is frames 1 through 10 armored, or a guard point. And besides that, from there you can be counter hit out of it. So it loses to meaty strings as a reversal. So it's not very good as a reversal, but it can be used just to mix up an opponent. As well as if they are crouching, we can hop over them so you can play leapfrog with it. But it also is plus on block, so it's pretty nice if they just block. So if they're respecting you too much, you can just continue using Sentinel as a means to continue pressure. But once they catch on, they're just going to start eating damage. So a lot of it just comes down to being where you want. And then the new special to Central Fiction that he has is Panzer Strike, or 623B, or DP input. It is incredibly nice to have. It's 1 frame invulnerability. It is pretty fast startup. It was nerfed in CF2. I'm currently using the PC version, which is why the HUD's all different. But for Panzer Strike, it is a good anti-air, to say. It covers a very specific angle that you may want. And you can also use it combo, and you can combo out of it. However, do mind that the combo is very limited just due to how bad the startup on it is. It was buffed, and it's not the combo timer, but it now ground bounces in CF2. And you can get some new routes off of it, but you still have a very limited timer, so it's very meh, but it's pretty nice for what it is. The big downside to our DP compared to a lot of the other characters is that everyone and their MILF can just low profile it. Like most characters, 3Cs, depending on the character, you can just, or like 2B, 2A, 2C, just anything where the character is crouching. And depending on the character's like crouched like animation with their hurt box, they could just, whenever we do the DP, they'll just leave it there, and then we'll eat a fatal counter. But it happens. You can also use it as like a disrespect tool, meaning that if they were to do something like, if they were to block this and try to punish, like if they were let's say they're an instant barrier, and then you're outside of range to punish, well, if you notice throughout the entirety of the games you played or whatever that they're gonna go for a punish, or you have a hard read that they're gonna punish me because they think I'm gonna press 5A, or they're trying to take their turn back, well, psych, you just got DP'd. But that's just like really disrespectful, and it's kind of risking from where you turn this like instant barrier this to from like -2 or -1. Yeah, it's like -1, -2, something like that, and out of reach. into something that's like minus like 400 or whatever, like not actually 400, but it's hella minus. Then moving on, we have 236D and 214D, which are Hornet and Valiant Crush or something like that. They're pretty much used just as combo pieces. The only times they're really useful is like in neutral is because they have armor for after startup during the stance. Whenever they hold the stance, they have armor, which is pretty nice. But for the most part, they're used as a combo piece where you can just get a lot of damage from having a mark. You saw that you get like 4K, and if you do the combo properly, you can refresh the mark. And it is a very nice tool to use. 214D is the same way, except where in Valiant Crush, you get this like nice little follow-up tool where he like goes like that. You can see where he doesn't get much off it, but then here you can, by pressing up or 8, you can combo after it, which is pretty nice. They're really just used it's a means of squeezing out extra damage and getting extra marks. But that about covers those. For going back to what was like teased earlier with Black Ops Stinger, it's kind of just Gustav on steroids. It's minus on block. It's really nice. But another thing it has going for it is that where you can see here, you can block it. But if they have a mark, if they're stand blocking and they have a high mark, they can't. It is unblockable at that point. However, if they are crouch, it is blockable. So, just as you may have thought, if you set up both and set them to guard switch enable, you can't block it. So there's certain situations where it is unblockable. You can set up an unblockable by doing this. However, there's a large enough gap where they can overdrive through it and use the iframes on the overdrive activation to punish you. They can use whatever the V reversal from Street Fighter V, which is just like forward barrier, like doing this. You can get through it. But besides that, it's kind of just like a combo ender. We have a lot of better ways to use meter and means of neutral, and to cover what our character is lacking. And just to cover really quick, Scud Punishment is probably a super you'll see the least due to, like I just said, we have better means to spin our meter. Though if you do connect it, however, it leaves you in a Scud Punishment state, which basically means that anytime you use a mark, you can use whatever mark you want, and then it'll refresh it. And the entire time he has this red afterglow effect, which looks spooky. So that's kind of cool. But then the problem with that is that the moment it ends, the marks go away. So now you're stuck in a state where you don't have your marks again. Now moving on, I'll just cover quickly his movement. He has a backdash that is frames 1 through 20 with iframes, but a total of 24 frames. So you have 4 frames where you can't of recovery, meaning that you just can't do anything. So it can be used as a means to get out of like whack situations. However, be wary because those 4 frames where you can't do anything, good or like competent players can punish you. His forward dash is quite fast. It's 24 frames that you can use as a cross-up, and it has frames 7 through 10 invulnerability, meaning that if you're confident or if you just do it and then they start to press a button that has active frames from your frames 7 through 10, you can just go through it. Now another cool thing with his movement is that before I go to that actually, he has instant air dash, which is, his instant air dash is pretty nice, especially with the company with like jump B or jump A. But a good tool with him is, if you're familiar with Guilty Gear and Slayer, you can Tiger Knee. I'm very bad at doing that. There we go. You can jump cancel his moves just by his dash by doing that, but then you can jump cancel your specials by ending them, by just ending them early. Same idea with here, where you use that as like a cross-up means, but you also can just Tiger Knee the DP, and that will go like that. Pretty nice. And then overall, going to the gameplay and whatnot, he's again back to a rushdown character that likes to get in that ass and stay in that ass. And there's a lot of good Azrael players that you can use that play the character very differently. So if you want to find a more defensive Azrael, there's players like Dogura. If you want to see a more offensive, nutty Azrael, there's players like Tokajin. But each Azrael kind of plays differently. We all share similarities for the most part, but he's a very flexible character in what he wants to do, because he's a very simple character in the game plan. But for the most part, a general rule of thumb is that at the end of most of your combos, you want to end with a mark. So an example there is that I just did a combo to end with a mark. However, if I do the same combo, I can continue my combo due to the nature of the drive. And then if situations like there, that is a bad combo in my opinion due to the fact that I did not get a mark back. Whereas I would want to do the combo differently where I could get a 1 or 2 marks back. But in that situation you can't get 2 marks if I recall correctly, but I'll digress from that. Overall, you just want to net like a mark from a combo, and if you don't net a mark, you want to net a lot of damage. Being situations where you're using like a Valiant combo, like a very basic Valiant combo, where you can do like 4 of these, and then do like a 2C into a 60. That's netting you a mark. Whereas you could do something like this, where instead of netting a mark, you're netting 1,000 more damage. So that's a situation where you can end a round and deal more damage and use your meter properly. Now, like I was saying, with his meter management, for the most part, players like to use it as a means of making new combos, or making off of pressure, rewarding yourself after 50-50. Such as if you know your opponent is going to crouch block a lot after you do whatever. You can do 2A, and then you can rapid cancel your overhead into a 3C and go into 4K damage or whatever. Same idea where if you think that they are going to just stand block everything, you can use meter to, generally speaking, is just like using meter to cover up your faults in defense, such as example being right there, where if you think they're gonna, where if you think after Gustav they are just gonna be blocking high, they go for a punish. You can, if you think you're gonna mash and punish, you can rapidly cancel it to a 3C and deal damage. If not, that forces a situation where they may have thought it was over, and if they don't react to the rapid cancel in time, they may just eat more damage. Whereas same situation where you can do a 5D at max range, in case they think you're going to 3C there. But then that also just nets you a mark, and that just gets into more damage, getting more damage per more hits. But that covers into a different topic entirely. And then learning the character, kind of just like practicing combos, practicing this and that is pretty nice. It's like the ideal way to learn a game is just by practicing it. But if you're curious on like, if you like, oh, I'm a player that has good combos and whatnot, but I'm bad at neutral. How do I get better at neutral? Or, oh, I have these problems. How do I get there? Asking the Azrael Discord, asking this and that, just analyzing where you're wrong and where you can improve. Or just even watching other Azraels, preferably Japanese Azraels, since they have a better trick of the trade than we Americans or any other Azrael players. But stick with learning from Japanese players and seeing their tendencies, but you can also watch American players and learn from what they do, and generally just forming a collective idea of what you can do on this character. Now, like I was saying with weaknesses earlier, you can DP. Like, he has a lot of gaps in pressure. He has very few actual frame traps, and so players can just mash DP and get away with it a lot of the times if they're aware of this situation, as well as situations like where you want to set up where you can go for marks and whatnot. If they're showing too much respect, you can punish that. However, they can mash and they can mash DP out of a lot of what we want to do. And that just comes down to player awareness and whatnot. If they're doing this, you just have to adapt to their playstyle, be more respectful. You kind of force them to play a little bit weirder in a situation where if Billy 420 has DP'd your 5BB 3 times, just press 5B and hold back, and then they DP and then they get a fatal counter, and then so it's a mix of you're fighting to get as much disrespect as you can on their block, and you're fighting for them to respect your nonsense the most. But yeah, for the most part, he's straightforward. A lot of his other weaknesses are going to be in matchups where it abuses his core movements, because besides instant air dash, his forward dashes, and Gustav, these are all his movement options. So he's kind of stuck in this range where he's going to have to use 5C to get in and just walk around a little bit, because characters, especially like a 9 matchup where you have big dick normals, you won't be able to deal with a lot of them, so you just have to walk around and whatnot, and you don't have a lot of good answers for characters with good pokes and whatnot. The only exceptions being zoners, where we have Growler. But for any other characters you have questions on, the Discord, comments, whatever else, for the most part, people will be able to tell you. And besides that, yeah, that's Azrael for the most part. We, again, like I just mentioned, BlazBlue Discord for any other general BlazBlue questions, Azrael Discord for any character-specific questions, as well as if you don't know combos or if you want to learn combos on the character, going for anything like that. But besides that, I believe that will cover everything for the video, and that will be it. See ya.